Wall Street closes at record high on Friday amid a sharp rally in financial stocks. The stocks in Asia Pacific opened mixed on lack of clarity over the China stimulus. The gift Nifty is also suggesting a lower start for the Indian markets. Crude prices correct. Brent slips over 1.5% to below $78 a barrel on worries over disappointing inflation data and a lack of clarity over stimulus measures from China. India industrial output for August dips by 0.1% versus 10.9% growth a year ago. The CPI inflation for September is due today, and a CNBC TV18 poll suggests inflation will come in at 5.22% versus 5.02% in September last year. Index heavyweight Reliance Industries is set to announce its Q2 earnings today. Overall performance is expected to improve sequentially. O2C and retail business too report some weakness, but Jio is likely to benefit from tariff hikes. Also, watch out for numbers from HCL Tech. Senior NCP leader Baba Siddiqui dies after being shot in Mumbai's Bandra on Saturday evening. 2 accused have been arrested so far, while a third remains on the run. Hello, good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. I'm Vinny Motiwala in the Mumbai News Center. Let's take a quick look at what the Asian markets are doing this morning, given that the handover from the US market was not bad. So yes, a bit of a worry that's coming in on the Hang Seng front because of some updates that came in China on the stimulus front. So Hang Seng is a bit muted. Taiwan index also has opened up a bit muted in trade. Japan is closed as of today, so yes, not much of a move there. ASX 200 is seeing a bit of a positive start. So a bit of a mixed opening is what we are watching out today from the Asian markets as of now. You know, on Friday, what we had seen also, China market was not doing too well. So that was a bit of a pressure that we saw in China on Friday. Today also seems like a bit of a worry because of the commentary in terms of China, the financial side that they're talking about, the stimulus side that they're talking about, not much of a positive commentary that's coming on that front. So keeping an eye out on that. Let's pull up what the gift Nifty is also indicating. Not a bad start for the Indian market. Slight bit of a positive bias. As of now, it's indicating 22 points uptick is the Nifty implied open that is indicated for the Indian markets. So keeping an eye out on that. Positive is something that we are watching out as of now in terms of the Indian market so far. Slight bit of a positive bias. So yes, not a bad start. Asian markets also doing quite well. But US markets, the Wall Street ended Friday's trading session higher. So the Dow Jones closed 400 points in the green, while the S&P 500 gained 35 points at close. Now both the averages closed at all-time highs and hit fresh record high. The tech-heavy Nasdaq also finished with 60-point gain, and the major averages gained over for the week was as much as on the positive side that we saw. S&P 500 and Nasdaq jumped 1.1% each, while the Dow also touted a 1.2% gain. CNBC's Bertha Combs is getting us a wrap on the U.S. markets. So, Bertha.
U.S. markets finished higher across the major indexes Friday, up for a fifth straight week, with the Dow and S&P 500 hitting new all-time highs. The Dow gained 410 points, the S&P added 35, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq was up 61. According to the Labor Department, wholesale prices were unchanged last month, pointing to a continuing easing in inflation. The report comes one day after the more widely followed Consumer Price Index showed a 0.2% increase. That was slightly more than expected, but when you combine them, analysts say the Federal Reserve is likely still on track for another interest rate cut at its next 2 meetings. Meantime, Tesla was the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 Friday, down almost 9%, after Thursday night's much heralded robo-taxi event failed to impress investors. Elon Musk unveiled the long-delayed robo-taxi, which he is calling a cybercab. It's a 2-seater with no steering wheel or pedals. Musk said he hopes to begin production before 2027, but offered no details about where it will be made. He also unveiled a prototype of an electric robo-van, which he said would eventually be able to carry up to 20 people or other cargo. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back over to you in Mumbai.
Thank you so much for the roundup on Wall Street, Bertha. But let's move on and staying with actually the Wall Street. Let's listen to David Zervos, who's the chief market strategist at Jefferies, as he talks about the outlook for the U.S. markets as the presidential election looms there.
We've come a long way. We've done an amazing job of getting that disinflation into the system after the great COVID inflation shock. And we've done that with above potential growth in almost every quarter for 9 quarters now. It's really a remarkable story. I think we learned a lot in a little under 30 days about how things are going to move with the election. So, you know, we'll be on the edge of our seats for that and just seeing whether we're going to go into a more deregulation mode for the economy with a Trump win or a continuation of what we've seen under Biden and Harris. But I think either way, the story is still reasonably positive, probably more positive for equities under Trump, but
Okay, that's all the global market action that we have, but how will the overnight cues impact the Indian markets? We have our research team joining in with us, how the trade setup is looking like and the stocks that we are keeping an eye out on this morning. Very good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in. But first off, Urmas, I'm going to start with you. Given that the cues we have from the global markets, what are we watching out today in the Indian markets? What's the trade setup like?
Good morning, Vinny. And last week, if you could talk about the Nifty, it was just the kind of break that the index needed after that sharp correction that we saw in the week before that. After that action we saw on Monday and Tuesday, the Nifty barely moved and it's stuck in this 550 to 600 point range of 24,690 on the downside, 25,200, 250 on the upside that it is struggling to cross. That is the range that you'll have to watch out for this week as well. Might be a trend deciding week for the markets. The underperforming index, though, has been the Nifty Bank. It was an underperformer last week as well, down 5% now in the last 2 weeks. But all eyes will be on Reliance Industries results. And mind you, Reliance Industries has been an underperformer in the lead up to its earnings. It's down 7% in the month leading up to the results, a big contributor to that Nifty correction from the record highs. So focus will be on Reliance Industries. But the broader markets, though, are continuing in their own pace. Both were outperformers yesterday. The mid cap, small cap, both indices ending with gains of 1%. But some key questions for the day. If there is a bounce that we see on the Nifty, will that get sold into, as has been the case all through last week? For IT, will this depreciation in the rupee offset any TCS related disappointment? Remember, TCS was down on Friday, but most of the other IT was up because the rupee fell to a record low of 84 against the dollar. That might act as a tailwind. And of course, of Reliance Industries, how much of the result is already in the price, considering the underperformance that we have seen. Besides Reliance Industries, also the earnings reactions coming in from Avenue Supermarts. Some downgrades have come in there. Hathway Cable and Network 18 will also be reacting to results. Some other results today: HCL Tech, Angel One, Gopal Snacks, Sterling and Wilson. So it's an earnings heavy day, the start of the earnings season. The range for the Nifty is what you'll have to watch out for. All eyes on Reliance, and the GIFT Nifty is indicating a slightly muted start for our own markets, but on the positive side.
Okay. Surely keeping an eye out on that, Hormas. Thanks so much for that. But let's go across to Vamakshi to tell us which are the other stocks that we're keeping on our radar today. Good morning, Vamakshi.
Well, good morning, Vinny. Let me first start off with Avenue Supermarts. The company reported its numbers. Revenue is up nearly 14.5%. Margins have declined to 7.6%, and the net profit resultantly has come in only 6% higher. Sula Vineyards also came out with its Q2 operational update. Net revenue sees a downtick of 1.3%. Their own brands revenue was rather flattish, up only 0.3%, but the wine tourism revenue picked up by 1.3%. JSW Energy's step-down arm, JSW Energy PSP has signed 2 energy storage facility agreement with Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company, so watch out for that. PNC Infratech has bagged 2,040 odd crores worth of project from Sidco. Ashoka Buildcon has received an LOA for projects worth almost 2,310 crores from Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation. Indoco Remedies is the next one we will be watching out for. US FDA has determined inspection classification of the Goa facility as official action indicated. GSFC also on our radar. They've commissioned a manufacturing plant at Fertilizer Nagar in Vadodara for production of hydroxylamine sulfate, and this new facility has an annual installed capacity of 6,600 MT of FIX crystal. Indocount's arm Indocount Global Inc. has acquired a 100% stake in Modern Home Textiles Inc., and this acquisition is coming at almost $11.7 million. Hindustan Aeronautics also on our radar because the Finance Minister has approved upgradation of the company to the 14th Maharatna CPSE. Wipro will be considering a bonus issue on October 17th, so watch out for that counter. And lastly, let's also focus in on Sudarshan Chemical, and that is because the board will be considering fundraising via QIP on October 16th.
Thank you so much for that, Vamakshi. Surely keeping an eye on all the stocks in news today. But finally, we have Sudarshan also joining in with us to tell us what's going to be happening in the world of F&O. What should we be keeping an eye on? Good morning, Sudarshan.
Good morning, Vinny. So on Friday, we saw a flat close for market after a range-bound day of trade, and both Nifty and Nifty banks saw a close with minor cuts, while mid-cap indexes outperformed and closed with a gain of almost 300 points. And tracking positive global cues today, GIFT Nifty is indicating a start with minor gains. Now, talking about the institutional flows, we continue to see selling by FIs. FIs have sold shares of more than rupees 4,100 crore, but it was largely offset by DIs, which bought shares of more than rupees 3,700 crore. But if we talk about the month of October, as of now, FIs have sold shares of more than rupees 58,000 crore, and at the same time, DIs have bought shares of almost rupees 58,000 crore. Shifting to index futures, we saw minor buy by FIs. Net buy figure was more than rupees 300 crore, but long positions was cut by 240 contracts. At the same time, short positions were reduced by more than 5,000 contracts. And with this, long exposure now stands at 36%, which is at the lowest level since June 2024. But on the client side, we continue to see addition of long positions. Now, net long contracts stands at almost 2 lakhs, and long exposure stands at 62%. On the options front, 25,000 call has seen addition of more than 18 lakh shares with premium at 124, and 24,900 put has seen addition of more than 7 lakh shares with premium at 116. With this important levels for Nifty, support is seen somewhere around 24,900 and resistance is about 25,000. Lastly, in stocks in focus, 3 stocks have come out of ban, and those might be in focus, and those stocks are Bandhan Bank, Birlasoft and Tata Chemicals.
Okay, Sudarshan, thank you so much for that, for rounding us up with what we should be watching out in the world of F&O as well. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we'll be talking about India's IIP numbers and also get you the key expectations for September CPI numbers that is due today. So stay tuned in. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. I just want to quickly take a moment to just mark what the Hang Seng is doing, because we've seen a sharper fall coming in for Hang Seng. As of now, it's down almost 1.8%. So a bit of a jittery now. 1.9% that we're seeing is a fall coming in for Hang Seng. So keep an eye out on that. Nifty implied open indicating absolutely a muted start. Mixed opening that's coming for the Asian markets. But like I said, we're going to be talking about the numbers and the macro data that has come in India. India's September consumer inflation number is due today. CNBC TV 18 poll shows that inflation will hit 5.22% over 5.02% inflation in September last year. Lata is joining in with us to give us more details on what should we be expecting. Lata, good morning.
Good morning. Well, 5.22 over a 5.02 base is not a low base effect, which means we're growing at 5% year after year. That is something that will worry the Reserve Bank, whose mandate is to keep it at 4%. Now, the big culprit is going to be food, which had fallen from a highs of 9 and 10% to 5.6% in the month of August. But that's expected to now jump to about 8%. We all know vegetables, tomatoes, potatoes, all of them have become expensive. Even pulses are resisting any fall. So that could be an impact, probably because of high rains and poor transportation. Core CPI, which was trending towards 3% at the start of the fiscal year, is now going to be 3.5%. August was 3.4. Before that, it was 3.3. So that's also steadily increasing, largely because of a base effect and because of gold. Gold gets included over here, and that prices have been rising. So will the bond yields rise if you get a 5.22 inflation number compared to just 3.6 in the month of August? My sense is not, because the monetary policy during the monetary policy statement, the Reserve Bank already indicated we are aware that the next couple of readings are going to be above 5%. We must try and we want to look through that hump before we take any action. Those statements had come That was why it was called a hawkish change in stance. Therefore, we will not expect bond yields to react to this piece of information.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Lata. Surely keeping an eye out on the all-important CPI data. But Lata, a word in terms of the August industrial output, shocked, which came in at negative 0.1%. So what does this actually start indicating in terms of the IIP data?
It's expected to come lower because a lot of numbers in August and September had shown softness, but people were not prepared for a negative number. Minus 0.1 was not expected. A low single digit was expected. And look at the previous numbers. It is 4.7. There are a lot of people who are attributing it to a high base of 10.9. But I think it's a little more than that. Let's look at all the sectors. Poor showing by mining, electricity, capital goods, infrastructure. That's quite a bit, a large part of IIP. If you remember, the 8 core sectors data comes earlier. For August, that had come in at minus 1.8. So in a sense, we got a bit of a preview to the August IIP data as well. Besides these infrastructure data, consumer non-durables, normal FMCG, things that personal product use, that has come in at a minus 4.5. Now, that's indicating some kind of softness even in terms of purchasing power. We should worry about that. Now, look at the softness data. We already saw core sector at minus 1.8. If you remember, the PMI for September was an 8-month low. Now we have the IIP number. And GST collection data for September grew by only 6%. 6 is bad. When nominal GDP is growing by, 10, 11%, a 6% GST collection indicates poor consumption. So we should worry a bit about this data. One hopes it's because of rains. Last August, the rains were not so heavy. This August, were very heavy rains. So that would have impacted production everywhere. Let's hope it is only one-off weather related. We will have to wait and see. But it's still troubling.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Lata. But on that note, we'll take a very short break. Don't go anywhere. More updates after the break. Welcome back. You're tuned into Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. And today we have the heavyweight Reliance Industry that are expected to report its Q2 numbers. What are we expecting this time? Rima is joining in with us.
So Reliance Industries share price over the last couple of days has underperformed the market, but still on a year-to-date basis, it's given a return of about 7%. Now this quarter, on a year-on-year basis, the trends could come under pressure, though sequentially, we're expecting things to be flatter and a lot more stable. So revenue growth on a year-on-year basis is down about 8%, EBITDA is down 12%, margins are likely to come in at 17%, and profits are down 21%. But on a quarter-on-quarter basis, as I said, things will appear to be a lot more stable. Revenues are just flattish at about 2.3 lakh crore rupees. Operating margins, though, are likely to see a pickup to levels of 17.5%, and this will drive about a 4% increase in the company's profitability. So what will drive that? So O2C is likely to have a subdued quarter. For retail business, there will be a slight pickup in EBITDA sequentially, but telecom is going to have a good quarter, courtesy the tariff hike. Singapore GRMs are going to be subdued at $3.6 per barrel, according to the CNBC TV 18 poll. Now, just to give some more color on the individual segments, this is what Jefferies is expecting. Jefferies is saying the Jio will see a good jump. EBITDA should go up 9%. The average revenue per user should go up 7%. As I said, this is courtesy the 20%, near 20% tariff hike that the company took in July. And this will drive a very strong quarter for the telecom business. For retail, growth for the industry per se has been a bit subdued, but Reliance Retail's EBITDA should go up by 5%. O2C is likely to have a weaker quarter on weaker refining and petchem margins. And finally, leaving you with the EBITDA trends that we've seen for Reliance Industries over the last couple of quarters.
Thank you so much for that, Rima. But moving on to some updates from Mumbai ahead of the Maharashtra State Assembly elections, we have the Nationalist Congress Party leader Baba Siddiqui was shot dead in Mumbai's Bandra on Saturday evening. 2 of the assailants have been detained by the local police authorities, while a third is on the run. Investigation is still underway, and the police is exploring all the possible motives and angles leading to the aggression. And that's all the time we have on this edition of Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Don't go anywhere. Pause our morning call up next.